just picking up on that.
Yeah.
And you said at the start, physiologically, you think you've got an advantage, or not advantage, but you match up well to Toulouse. What is it that you see there, and how does that translate in your mind's eye to a Sale victory?
I'm not saying things that isn't already always banded around us. Like physically, we have the mentality and the ability to match them pound for pound on the game line and in the set piece, and this is where French teams usually get dominance. Yeah, so I know we're good for that. Where we could be undone, and where Toulouse undo so many, is that you can still match them 7-6 phases in that area, and then you switch off for that one, or they get that offload because you're a little bit late and adjust, or they're able, through their own excellence and brilliance, to find a soft shoulder and keep that ball live, and then you're chasing shadows, and then physicality doesn't even come to the fore because the ball's too quick, the gaps are too big, and they're the best at finishing in those situations. So, I'm not disputing the fact that it's going to be engagement on top of a level of physicality that consistently we probably haven't shown yet this season, but that's what these occasions require. And it will. It's going to need the best of us. But I think in the areas where we have to go toe to toe, we'll match up. We'll knuckle down and match up.
And you often build a narrative or a theme around a big match like this. Are you able to elaborate on what the story is for this week?
No, we actually went away from that this week. On a wider sense, because I won't go into all of it. I just talked about these next 3 games making the impossible possible to the boys. A lot like what you've said. A lot of teams, a lot of people, not teams actually, because teams know, but a lot of people wrote us off probably 3 weeks ago. Now that can't be the case in the Premiership, can it? After those 2 games, because we're right in the fight. And the same could be said in Europe. Like these 3 games, important performances, make all of it possible. Not probable, not even plausible, but just possible, Danny. And then with that, we need to believe that we can. And this is what I'm talking about to you now. There's objective evidence there, statistical evidence, if you go and look for it, that suggests we're well matched in some of the areas. That's all well and good in it on a piece of paper. Very much different on the day.
Okay, I'll let John take over.
All right. Cheers, Danny.
Cheers, Dane. Hi, Al. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, John. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Potential matchup between the Currys and Jack Willis. Is that for you what the Champions Cup's all about?
Yeah. Yeah, they're excited about that. But I'm like that's the beauty of this cup, isn't it? Like he's looking at how he's playing. He undoubtedly would make that England squad. He's different level around the breakdown and his attacking play and everything. Like he's playing really well. So the Currys are so competitive that they probably missed the opportunity of being able to play against him this season, in the league, or train with him, train against him. So, when we're talking about the threat that he is and the challenge that we face, like their eyes light up. I'm looking forward to seeing them both go, and it's great to have them both back on the field.
Who's wearing the Jack Willis bib in training
then? Tristan Woodman. Got battered today. There was a few of them. We got a few angry young lads who, when we get the tackle suits out, and we don't do full on all the time, but we have control elements of our breakdown, and we ask them to do certain things, and these guys put the bibs immediately on. So whilst he's getting smoked, and getting up and getting his head pushed in the dirt. I just tell him, like, if you're frustrating him, you're doing your job, because it's not just the Currys, it's the South Africans who get really upset. I think through some kind of hierarchical systemic culture, where they think the young lads should just keep themselves in the box, but thankfully we don't. We've got lads who are pushing the start 23 this weekend. I'm really grateful for that. We've got a good group.
You've coached Sale obviously down at Toulouse before. What have you taken from that game, if anything, given that some personnel will be different? Have you talked about that game and about what you need to do better, or is it relevant?
Yeah, we've shown a couple of clips from it. We showed Byron Guigan taking Ramos's head off last time we went down there, and it was a quiz, like what happened next kind of quiz thing, just to like set the scene and to get some levity in it, I guess, because it can all get too serious, can't it? And then we've showed some examples of what worked for us, because we did frustrate him for half a game, and that game down there blew out in the second half. I'm not sure if you're aware.
Vaguely remember.
Yeah, so we know, like, we have the capability. A lot of teams do, though, don't they? Like push them, and then quality and consistency of brilliance wins through towards the back end. So it won't just be a first half of fire and brimstone that wins us this. It's going to be 80 minutes of engagement. Like I said to Danny, on the back of that physicality that we've come to expect and come to prioritise for this group.
Great. Good luck.
Cheers, mate. Chris,
it's Bruce Boy, you okay?
yeah, I'm good. You've been out in the sun, mate. You look like you've been guarding. You've caught a bit.
Costa Stockport.
Oh, there you go. Hey, it's been hot, hasn't it? My ears are feeling like they're glowing. Been out in it all day.
Very nice bit of sitting outside last night. Listen, I'm just stuck in the waiting room for 15 minutes, so I've missed most of it. So I just wanted to probably repeat something you were asked before.
Yeah.
When people are looking at the back end of the season, a few of you are in this boat where you've got big playoff aspirations in the Prem, and you've got these pretty daunting fixtures in this competition. Where's the priority, or can you prioritise both? How do you balance that? And again, you've probably been asked, so apologies.
I'm only talking with respect to my assumption of how other people have gone about it, given how competitive the league is. I had this conversation with Si and Shell Orange in the Rouse in the autumn, and I've had it with a few of the players as well, because last year where we were at, it just wasn't feasible with the group they were in to be able to go for both. With this year, we've committed to doing that, as you can see, and to some degree in rotation and rest over the last 2 weeks, we've got away with it. Not the best performance, Kieran, like you've said, not the best, but good enough for us to keep building momentum and feel like we're on an upward trajectory going into this game, into Europe. So at present, we're looking no further than Sunday, and I'm happy to say we've got our strongest squad as we could have in managing them going into this game. So we're looking to win it all at the moment.
And obviously I can sense your attitude towards it, but a lot of people on the outside looking in would say this is an impossible task. How are your squad with that sort of scenario? Like, I know what you're like, and that sort of comes out clearly from how you talk about it. Do you have the characters in there who quite like the idea that the other team was seen as certainties, basically?
Yeah, I'm not underestimating. I do not think that Toulouse are taking this game lightly. Like, we know they've been analysing for 3 weeks for us. That's a compliment, because it's a small rugby world, and we heard through some of our French contacts through Neil Briggs. So, that's a compliment that they're taking it this seriously, and right they should be, because we are. There's something about written off that puts a fire in these lads' bellies like nothing else. Hark back to that Bristol game, Christmas, when we weren't in great form and they were flying, and it's when no one else thinks you can. they seem to grow a leg to prove people wrong. At some point, we have to step out of that underdog mentality and be able to perform when we're odds-on favourites. That's not this weekend, is it? So while we have that as a tool, we'll lean into it.
And is there just there just an awareness that if you pulled off a result there, that is a historical thing, that is a folklore result, that is something that would just be remembered and talked about? And is that the sort of that sort of elusive prize, if you like, that would go down as one of the greatest English sort of club performances?
Yeah, we haven't really spoken about that. I think that's a bit of a given, isn't it? Because the aim's to get to a final and to win the final. So, if you play and win this game and you think it's wide open, you've got to do it another 2 times, as I've said already. You've got to go on the road another 2 times against probably 2 French clubs and do it again. So, there's a long road to the final yet. Yeah, it's just too wide. It's just too big. For me, I can't even think about this. This could be historic and momentous. There's a bigger motivation to show that we can. To prove people wrong. I guess that motivation that sits well with the lads is something that boils me, and I mentioned that before, and I have. There's a burning want and desire for this club to step out of the shadows in general, and the kind of games that do that for you, Chris. But we haven't spoke about that as a wider picture, because there's just too much you need to focus on in the detail and in the now to get the game right. Any kind of white noise on these kind of occasions is distractory, is damaging. Like, you've got to be so present to understand the clarity of what the individual roles are, the strategy, what we're trying to employ, and then the mentality that's going to take, which will be nothing short of somewhere we haven't been before. But that's what aspiring good teams do, innit? And that's the path that I feel we're on.
Cheers, Al. Thank you.
Cheers, Chris.
I'll just quick on from it. Just wanted to talk about the form of Joe Carpenter.
Oof.
And how he's maybe changed a bit in the year. We haven't had a tour with England, even though he didn't play.
He looks more dangerous, more decisive. Not thinking the back there. Joe is one of our most consistent players, as you know. And then some of the games, some of the big games last year, when the pace of the game is higher and the pressure's greater, not reaching the peaks where we know we can get to. That hasn't been the case this year. Like, he's never faltered in that 15 jersey, and that's why you're talking about him and he's in England consideration for the summer. The only thing that's preventing him at this point in time is actually him getting an opportunity in a white shirt, an England shirt, and he's in amongst a real tough crowd there, isn't he? With the likes of Furbank, Stewart, Smith, to name a few. So when these things come to people who have earned it, who have had a period of time to acclimatise with what you've talked about, the rejection and the subjectivity that comes into international selection, in the long run, it seems like it's the best thing that's happened for them.
Right, yeah.
Case in example, Tom Roebuck. Like, look how good he was when he got his start, like, hit the deck running. And I'll back Carps to be the same when he does get his opportunity.
Okay.
Cheers, sir. Will, what have you got for us? You can't just come in and listen.
And pretty much everything's been
covered.
Oh. You talked a little bit about the underdog mentality a little bit heading into this weekend, but you're one of the few sides in the Prem who have beaten pretty much everybody in that top 4 so far this season, Bath and Bristol. Do you take any confidence from those victories in the league heading into Europe, telling the boys, we can do this, we can, we've got the calibre, we've got the quality.
See, you say you haven't got anything, and you come in with something as positive as that. Will, I'm so happy you came to the party. And it only goes, your analysis, we haven't beaten Bath, unfortunately, but I hope to God we get them in a semi-final. I really
I'm
do.
sorry, apologies, yeah.
Yeah, but no, they'll get theirs in time. Yes, Will, we can beat anyone, like most teams can on the day. We've got to be at our best on the day, we know that, because even them at 80% is better than almost every other team at 100. So we've really got to go and attack this game. We can't tiptoe into it. We had a little chat around people who got knocked out by Mike Tyson, and this is just the coaches and some of the players in around the coffee, not theming, but they're already beaten before they get in the ring. They're like, oh, I don't want to throw one because he's going to knock me out. You know what I mean? And that's probably the worst attitude and mentality you can. You've got to go in there, not swinging with wild abandonment and leave you open, because that's when they're super dangerous. But certainly, aggressively going after everything that you put your mind to and that you've set your heart on in the week. Aggressively going after the kicking game, owning the gain line, dominating set piece, and then scoring tries. You're going to have to score tries against these guys because they score. So it's not you're not going to keep them down to 10, maybe 20 points. Hence why, as I said earlier, Kieran, there's probably signs in the last 2 weeks where we've made strides in that area. Gives us confidence. Gives us belief.
Thank you, Al.
Cheers, Will. Thank you, and you are welcome back anytime.
Cheers, Al.